And thank you all very much for coming along and celebrating the work of two exceptional individuals. So I would now like to introduce the first of our distinguished awardees, is Attorney Iram Asan from the Asian Development Bank. And in order to wish her well on the award, we have a video presentation from a distinguished jurist, the Honourable Justice Syed Mansoor Ali Shah, Justice of the Supreme Court of Pakistan. For those of you who don't know Justice Syed Mansoor Ali Shah, he is an extraordinary jurist. He was the judge in the Lingiari case, one of the most significant climate change cases that was decided very recently. He's been an outstanding supporter of the programs of the Asian Development Bank in terms of the environmental law judges program. And he has recorded a very special message for Iram, and we are certainly hoping that the technology allows us to play it now. So, if you would be so kind as to play the video.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen from Lahore, Pakistan. I'm sorry I had to attend this wonderful event through a pre-recorded video. This is due to the time difference between Lahore and Manila. Actually, when you get to see this video, it will be 10 a.m. in Lahore, and I'll be in court attending to my cases. I'm very sorry, but my constitutional duty beckons. I thank ADB and in particular Matthew Baird for giving me the opportunity to say a few words about a shining star amongst us today. Ladies and gentlemen, Iram Asan's fantastic work on the environment and for climate change and gender rights makes her an international trailblazer. Truly a defender of nature and gender rights, Iram is unending passion, untiring energy, and unflinching commitment, all packed into one. Iram was the driving force behind many sterling initiatives at ADB, which have actually made a difference and have left an indelible imprint for others to build on. She was the force behind Asian Judges Network on Environment, called ASEAN. I remember when she was working on this several years ago, I thought to myself that how will she build a coalition of judges across Asia? I thought she was being overambitious. Being a judge, I knew that there is a ring of aloofness around judges. They don't like to mix around and are not open and friendly, exceptions apart, of course. Yet, in no time, her affable personality and that $1 million smile she wears all the time made it happen. Soon she had a personal rapport with the chief justices and judges of many countries, and at the Asian Roundtable of Judges, starting from Bourbon, Pakistan, she was successful in inviting Constitutional Court judges from all over Asia. A pleasant and confidence-inspiring personality has helped build instant friendships across the globe, which has been the prime force behind the coalition of judges on environment. I'm witness to this unique quality of hers. Today, Ajni is ADB's flagship and a wonderful legacy to leave behind. A spin-off of this initiative was the pioneering project of setting up of green courts, something unheard of at the time. Perhaps it was for the first time in Asia and certainly so in Pakistan. I remember I was the first green court judge at the Lahore High Court several years ago. This initiative has led to the growth of environmental jurisprudence in Pakistan.
Thank you very much indeed, Justice Ali Shah. And I've put up on the screen the image that we're providing to our 2 awardees as a painting, and we'll provide the name of the artist, Chris Chun, later in the chat box. Just as a small recognition of the work that Iram and our next awardee have done. There's nothing more to say except to invite Iram to say a few words on behalf of receiving the award. Thank you very much indeed, Iram.
Thank you very much, Matthew, and the Ariel Institute for honoring me today. And I'm completely speechless, which is very, very rare. You know how much I speak, Matthew. But yes, thank you, and I'm completely touched by seeing this video from Honorable Justice Mansoor Ali Shah. He's been really secretive about it. I had no clue that he's going to do it, which is again a rarity because he always loved to share. So thank you very much for this lovely surprise and this lovely idea of sending us this image in the midst of pandemic of this tiger by Christian. I completely appreciate it. Just a few words after thanking you, Matthew, and the Institute for acknowledging my work over the years. Just want to say why and how, I mean, I've achieved this. It's definitely not me. Behind me, there's a team of superheroes that works. And our UN colleagues normally call them the team of superheroes because they do all the work. I tell you, I'm just the face here. So I really want to thank my team here, Bryony, Grip, Cecile, Sass, Gladys. You guys have been holding my hands over the years. My one belief, and I want to share this with all of you because you all are my fellow comrades in the same battle of development in environmental climate laws and vulnerable people's rights, is that my belief is that each one of us have to do our own bit. We cannot change the world. One person cannot change the world, but one person can change. And I heard this from somewhere and I borrowed it. One person can change world for one person, and that's my belief. I want to start small and see how it goes and where it goes. And at least by doing that, I'll be doing my bit to change this world towards betterment. And that has been my motto, my belief, my mantra throughout this work that I managed to do. And so I'm okay if I changed mindsets of 2 people in the room full of 100 people. That's fine with me. That's an achievement as it is with me. I was extremely happy to see so many judges who actually, when they started working with me, they themselves said that except for how to spell the term environment, we don't know anything else about it. And now there are decisions, I mean, world-changing decisions coming out of their courts. So this is what we have achieved. And thank you all the judges and lawyers and activists with whom I have been working. Similarly, when I started working on gender-based violence within ADB asked me, why should ADB work on gender-based violence? We are a infrastructure energy development bank. And I said that my rationale for UADB is that if we only focus, if you say you develop ASEAN Pacific and you build roads and energy projects and infrastructure and even education, but if women and vulnerable groups, which is more than 50% of the population, can't even enjoy the benefits of your projects, then that means you're just developing remaining 50% of Asia Pacific. And hence, you need to invest in securing women enough so they can come out on the road, enjoy the roads and metros and the energy that you're providing. So again, everything has a rationale that you want to do. You just have to find it, and you just have to find few people to work with, and it gets ripple effect. That's what I saw in my life. Start small, see where it goes, and do your bit. Thank you once again, Matthew, and Asian Research Institute for the Environmental Law. I'm humbled and I'm honored. And thank you, Justice Mansoor Ali Shah, for presenting such a beautiful message.
I thought, Iram, it was an exceptionally beautiful speech. But please, just if you could come back for a little moment, I just want to ask one question. Because we have a little bit of time. And I just wondered if you could explain in a few minutes about the gender courts in Pakistan. And partly because we always talk about the issues of gender, the 50% of the people who can be ignored, not marginalized, but ignored and are not part of the discussion, and especially in the legal profession, and the practice of rule of law. And I'm so extraordinarily interested in this. And I thought maybe if you could just share that, what you did and working with the judiciary in Pakistan on the gender-based courts, because I think that is one of those essential elements for environmental rule of law.
Thank you, Matthew. And within my environmental and climate law work, I emphasize on how these issues are impacting very disproportionately on women, children, and other vulnerable groups. So all the gender vulnerabilities that are enhanced because of environmental negative impacts and climate negative. So I always link, and rightly so picked up by you, Matthew, in determining this award for me, that I work on linkages between these two areas. I started this gender-based violence work in Pakistan and then rolled it out in Afghanistan. Why did I choose Pakistan? Because it is such a sensitive area that nobody gives you entry to come to my country, tell me what I'm doing wrong on gender, and then publish about it, and no one gives you entry. So I wanted to start, and I'm an environmental specialist and a corporate lawyer. I learned about gender because I'm passionately interested about, but I was not education wise trained in it. So I wanted to have a safe home ground, so that at least I start somewhere where I'm comfortable. So Pakistan is my home country, and I knew judges there. And Mansoor Ali Shah was the Chief Justice of one of the provinces. So I knew him through my professional career. So I reached out to him and I said, will you give me access to your courts and police and prosecution to talk about it? And he said, why should I give you access? What credibility do I have in you regarding gender work? Fair question. So why I'm telling you this background, because you do face hurdles, but that's fine. And I said, you're fine. You're right. I will speak to my credibility in two ways. Number one, I will assemble an excellent team of diverse expertise of people who will help you, including judges, lawyers, anthropologists, and national law expert, international human rights expert, Islamic scholars, because it's a Muslim country. And then secondly, I will provide you customized solutions to your country. I will not bring in Western concepts or any other. I will, of course, give you good practices from all around the world, but customized solutions for you based on the needs of your people. So these were the 2 points that I shared with him, and he agreed. So that's the starting point for any development colleague to go to any country. Do not assume that you are an international person, so you know it better than them. So we met with more than 300 judges and prosecutors in Pakistan to understand from them what are they not understanding law? Are they not understanding case law? Are they not understanding customs? Are they mixing religion with law? What are the issues because of which Pakistan is facing such high numbers of gender-based violence? After hearing from them, we then studied each and every law possible in Pakistan into this area, starting from the Constitution of Pakistan to the recent most domestic violence law. In between, there were child-related laws, transgender-related laws, you name it, and we read, we compiled, and then we prepared a customized training manual. We went to Pakistan. When I say we, I had this beautiful team. And we started training in small groups, all the judges in the Punjab province, some directly, some over Skype, because we could not travel to some remote provinces. And we spent more than a month, I think 5 times each time, and talked to them in smaller groups. And again, I said, when I used to see 2 heads nodding like this in a room full of 40 judges, that was it. I knew I cannot change all 40, because it is kind of working with, and in these trainings, it was not all legalese and law and case. We started with the first module that why do you think the way you think? You think the way you think because that is how we have grown up. That is how we've learned from our society, from media, from schools. Why do we paint our rooms pink or blue when the child is born? That's the start of an issue. Why do we have to color code gender or sex? What is the difference between sex and gender? Sex cannot be changed because you're born with that, right? Biological, it's in exception scientific. Gender roles can be changed because we make them. Why do women have to wash clothes, wash dishes, cook food, raise children, and men have to earn money outside? Why can't the roles interchange? Or why can't they do both together? All of these things we start, and judges say we are not biased because we are judges, right? We say no, but you're the product of the same community, same society. Then why does media show a beautiful looking woman selling orange juice? Why do we objectify women every single place? Why do we offer electives like mathematics and engineering to boys and home economics and nursing to girls? So we are a product of a number of years, and so are the judges and lawyers and prosecutors, and hence their mindset is that. That's the starting point. So we trained judges. After the training, the judges themselves came to us and said, this is highly technical area of law and judiciary. We need a specialized court with specialized procedures to adjudicate upon these cases. Hence, we went back to Syed Mansoor Ali Shah and we said, your judges are asking for this court. And he said, what? A special court on gender? I mean, everyone understands gender. So we sat with Justice Syed Mansoor Ali Shah, who was the Chief Justice at that point in time, for 2 days consecutively and completely trained him from scratch. He already had a very passionate heart. And after that, he said, I want this court in 1 week's time. That is how we actually sat with the plumbers, with the carpenters within the existing court building. We chose a room which is open, wider, and which is less crowded area of the courtroom. And we established this court where the bar table was removed from the judge, because in Pakistan the lawyers stand on the heads of the judges, and then they are standing this close to the victim and this close to the convict, so we had to make space and distances so that they don't get overwhelmed. Simple structural changes like putting a chair in the witness box so a woman who's already a victim can sit, or a child or a transgender who comes and sits there, and then put a screen in front of her or them so that they don't have to face their rapist or the convict the next room or in their home and give evidence. Especially children, have a facilitation room in for children next door. These kinds of small structural changes which did not cost us anything, together with specialized rules and procedures of how to conduct the trial. When victim resiles, does not mean the trial ends, which was happening a lot. It means you need to find evidence to continue, because that's a crime against state also in many respects. It creates terror. Imagine when 1 in 3 women are getting raped every day. It's a national crisis, an emergency, much bigger than COVID, I tell you all. So that's what we did. We had our first case, first court, and with that just one model court, increased the conviction rate only in rape cases 20% in 1 year. So, and that is when this was our work in one province, one court, under the leadership of Justice Syed Mansoor Ali Shah. So the Chief Justice of Pakistan Supreme Court picked up the numbers and the success, and he invited us then, saying that, can you do it nationwide for us? This is it, this is huge. So we worked with them, and we did our work. We did trainings for one prosecutor and one judge from each district of 116 districts of Pakistan. So we made the judges ready, we made the procedures ready, we gave them structural change guidelines, and it's over to them. They are rolling it out now nationwide, these courts. And then I took the same experience to Afghanistan. The Chief Justice of Supreme Court of Afghanistan was already a colleague and a very good partner in my work in environment and climate change. So he opened up his judiciary, because I had already established my credibility with him in environment and climate. And because he had seen my work in Pakistan, he said, okay, fine, come, because you're sincere to my country, you're not bringing me foreign concepts, and you're looking after my religion, my custom. So we did the same training. We trained judges from every province of Pakistan, be it as remote as possible, be it under the control of some extremists. We flew everyone to Kabul, because we could not travel to those provinces due to security reasons. We flew women with their chaperones, women judges and prosecutors, because that's the custom in Afghanistan. Women cannot travel alone. We flew their children if need be, so that they can attend the training. And we touched upon, Matthew, I want to mention this, it's very embarrassing, but I always say we touched upon issues which are considered taboo, or which no development organization speaks about, because UN and many other organizations attended our training in Afghanistan, and they said, ouch, how did you talk about it? And I said, if their law is talking about it, we need to talk about it. And that was issues like, for instance, one example, the 2-finger virginity testing, which still existed in Pakistan and Afghanistan. It's now banned in Pakistan. So to check the virginity of a rape victim, why, number one, would you want to check the virginity of a rape victim? And number two, by 2 fingers, I mean, do they understand what hymen looks like and what it is? And So we talked about that with, imagine all male judges with long beards and different kinds of religious beliefs and customary beliefs, and all of us women trainers, but we did it because that was needed. So yeah, that's my passionate 2 cents about gender.
Thank you again, and again, thank you, as Justice Syed Mansoor Ali Shah said, you are truly an inspiration. And thank you very much for all the work you're continuing to do. And on behalf of the Asian Research Institute for Environmental Law, congratulations as the Environmental Lawyer of the Year for 2020, last year, as the Asian region. So thank you again, Iram, and it's been a great pleasure having you here.
Pleasure was all mine. Thank you, Matthew.
So we now move on to our next awardee, who is Emeritus Professor Koh Keng Leong from the National University of Singapore. And to introduce her distinguished career, I'm very honoured to call on another extraordinarily distinguished environmental lawyer, Emeritus Professor Ben Bor, from the University of Sydney, and also from Wuhan University. So Ben, please.
Well, thank you very much, Matthew. I think the video needs to be switched on at your end if people wish to see me, because the video will not start from here. In any case, I will begin. I certainly endorse the remarks of Justice Ali Shah with respect to Iram Ahsan, a remarkable lawyer and friend from Pakistan, and with the ADB. Thanks so much to Iram for your extraordinary talk and teaching us so much, both about environmental law as well as about issues of gender. And these issues are relevant to every country around the world. Today, in addition to Iram Ahsan, we also pay tribute to a remarkable academic specialist in the area of environmental law. Professor Koh Keng Leong is Professor Emerita at the National University of Singapore. And I will just share my screen so that we can, if I can do that. Hopefully you can all see that. Just one moment, just a technical issue. So hopefully you can hear me and see the screen now. Please let me know if you can. Thank you. So Professor Koh Keng Leong is Professor Emerita at the National University of Singapore. She has been and continues to be a friend, a colleague, and a mentor to many people around the Asian and Pacific region, as well as across the world. She has traveled extensively, studying and working in Europe particularly, such as at the Secretariat of the UN Commission on International Trade in Vienna back in the 70s, and also elsewhere. Through her writings and her conference papers, the courses she has given over so many years, it is fair to say that Professor Koh is one of the most influential academics in the ASEAN region, having started to work on ASEAN law and environmental law back in 1978. As stated in the citation before you, she is being recognized for her many years of commitment to the environmental rule of law, as it has become known more recently, and for the promotion in particular of ASEAN environmental law. Professor Koh has been instrumental in introducing the subject at NUS in 1994, and most particularly in terms of the development of environmental law teaching in ASEAN as well as globally. She is one of the founders of the Asia-Pacific Center for Environmental Law, one of the first in the region. She was also the first woman appointed as an emerita professor at the NUS Faculty of Law in 1997. I had the privilege of knowing her since the mid-90s, working with her and with colleagues, along with Professor Nicholas Robinson and Donna Craig and others, in the Asian Development Bank and NUS Environmental Law Professors Training Programs. And as many of you will know, those particular programs were the beginning of the IUCN Academy of Environmental Law, which now has over 200 universities involved around the world. Like many others, I'm in regular communication with Professor Koh on a variety of subjects, including the recent re-establishment of the International Council of Environmental Law. Professor Koh is online today, and I would like, on behalf of all of us, to send you our very warm greetings. In my brief talk, I will summarize some of Professor Koh's many achievements, as well as touching upon some of her lighter sides. As Matthew has indicated, the tiger print has been sent to Professor Koh already, and I'll show you where she has placed it in her apartment in Singapore. But the story behind this Singaporean tiger is quite an interesting one. Of course, Singapore did not have many tigers in its life as an island, but nevertheless, this particular one escaped from a zoo in Singapore and was finally hunted down in the billiard room of the Raffles Hotel in 1902. So it met an unfortunate end as far as wildlife is concerned in Singapore. I think probably things have got a little bit better since then. In any case, Professor Koh is a proud and remarkable Singaporean. She describes herself as an accidental environmental lawyer, because in 1994, being encouraged by Professor Tommy Koh, one of the doyens of environmental law and international law from NUS, as well as Dr. Parvez Hassan from Pakistan, and Professor Nick Robinson from Pace University in the United States, they encouraged her to establish, along with her colleagues, the Asia-Pacific Center for Environmental Law, of which she was the first director, followed by our dear colleagues, Professor Lai Lin Heng, and now Professor Jolin Lin Shu Wen. And this is just a picture of the 20th anniversary in 2016 of this wonderful center, which has been long enduring and highly influential. One of the things that perhaps people don't know so much is that in 2014, Professor Koh was also inducted into the Singapore Women's Hall of Fame for being a pioneer in the development of environmental law in the ASEAN region. And without reading all of it, you'll notice that her legal knowledge being combined with her passion for the environment, she is recognized as an established authority on environmental law and one of the founders and former and currently an honorary director of APSEL, the Asia Pacific Center. Professor Koh was also a laureate of the Elizabeth Haub Prize in Environmental Law presented in 2013. And I want to just dilate a little bit on this particular prize. The Elizabeth Haub Prize has been around for many years, being issued by the International Council for Environmental Law, a body that was established by Dr. Wolfgang Burheny back in 1969. And Dr. Burheny is also the founder of the ASEAN Commission on Environmental Law, now called the World Commission on Environmental Law. And in the citation for that particular prize, he stated that it was in recognition of her important and pioneering contributions to the development and evolution of environmental law in Singapore and the whole ASEAN region, as well as her significant role as regards both capacity building and scholarship in the field of environmental law. I just want to, just one moment. I just want to refer a little bit more to what was said at that particular conference, at that particular laureate award back in 2013, when Dr. Buheni said, in 1992, Dr. Parvez Hassan, in his capacity of chair at the time of the ASEAN Commission on Environmental Law, was exploring venues to launch a capacity building initiative in the Asia Pacific. He traveled to Singapore and met with Tommy Koh, who during the year had done a magnificent job in the negotiations on the Rio Declaration and on Agenda 21. As Parvez Hassan tells the story, Tommy's response was both positive and enthusiastic. He picked up the phone and they met with King Lien that very day. Although her main specialization at the time was still criminal law, she was enthusiastic about the challenges and prospects ahead. And that was the beginning of APSEL, the Asia Pacific Center for Environmental Law. He goes on to say that one of King Lien's most important early endeavors for the center was a month-long training program for professors from the region. And that initiative, as I've said, was the beginning of the ASEAN Academy. But he also said, in addition to her pioneering role in building capacity for the teaching of environmental law in the region, King Lien's skills in hospitality in Singapore are equally well recognized. I've heard from a friend that she is adept in selecting the menu at a chili crab dinner, just as adept at that as she is in structuring the trainer's program. And I can certainly attest to that, having had many chili crab dinners in Singapore with Ko King Lien and her dear colleagues. The citation for the Elizabeth Haub Award also included reference to Professor Ko's musical abilities and interests. It was said in that particular article from which I've just quoted that there were some 2 pianos in her apartment, but I can attest to the fact that I heard at one point there were 4, if not more, pianos. But you can see here in this particular photograph that the Aerial Tiger Image Award, it sits proudly in her living room as we speak. But I also wanted, of course, to talk about Professor Ko's academic output. In addition to many publications in other areas, she has produced some 70 publications in environmental law since 1994. Books, articles, and reports, many of them focusing on various aspects of environmental law in ASEAN, but also ranging across to ecocide, land grabbing, and intangible heritage issues, about which I'll say something else in a moment. And she's also, of course, published this material in a wide variety of outlets in Asia and around the world. The publication for which she is very well known is the 2,000 pages of selected ASEAN environmental instruments, including charters and other documents that have been produced really since the beginning of ASEAN and its focus on the environment over the past 40 years or so. And what she says here is she recognized that many of the instruments are soft law, which are in line with the idea of the ASEAN way, or Musyawarah, which is decision by consensus. And she says that this is crucial in building confidence in a membership that is not homogeneous in terms of political, economic, social, cultural, language, and other contexts. Although the ASEAN way has its critics, some wisdom in the ASEAN way is beginning to be appreciated. Well, certainly there's a good deal more to be said about this particular issue in terms of the implementation and enforcement of environmental law today. Here is a shot of the first volume of the capacity building in environmental law in the Asia Pacific region program, which was begun by Professor Koh and colleagues back in 1996, 1997. The Asian Development Bank granted nearly $600,000 at the time in the mid-90s in order to promote this major program, and I was privileged to work with colleagues on this program for weeks at a time in sweltering Singapore. Although I should say that most of the time, apart from the field trips, we were in air conditioning. One of the interests that Professor Koh has had, and she wrote an article about this some years ago, was to try to recognize, to promote the idea of Singaporean cuisine, and in particular the hawker culture in Singapore. And we see here, on the occasion of the recognition of hawker culture in Singapore under the Intangible Heritage Convention, being placed on the representative list of intangible cultural heritage in 2020, we see this photograph celebrating that cuisine. And here is just a grab of a chili crab, the kind that we enjoyed back in 1997, 1998 during the training programs, and they are still apparently available. And I look forward to the next time I'm in Singapore to enjoy one of these. If you wish to know more, well, there was a book written now some time ago, Lives in the Law, Essays in Honour of 3 academics at the National University of Singapore, and Professor Koh was one of them, with several articles devoted to her, one by her colleague, Professor Lai Lin Heng. So, Professor Koh, you're a wonderful parent of environmental law in ASEAN. I would say that you're also a true environmental law tiger of Singapore. And of course, you are a defender of the planet. My congratulations on this award. Over to you, Matthew. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Ben. And indeed, for a wonderful tribute. I should just to let you know that I do have these 2 volumes of selected documents, and they are well bookmarked. These are the select documents in ASEAN Environmental Law, Policy and Governance. And they are really one of the treasure troves, and I certainly look forward to volume 3, perhaps, coming out. I would also then sort of formally like to congratulate you and for the ASEAN, the Ariel Environmental Lawyer of the Year Award for 2020 for ASEAN to Professor Koh Keng Leng. So thank you very much indeed. So that concludes our formal session for today. But perhaps before we head into the next panel discussion on oceans, I should thank our presenters, Justice Syed Mansour Ali Shah and Emeritus Professor Ben Boer, not only for their contributions to environmental law, but their contributions today to honour extraordinary people. Perhaps I can also let you know that one of the reasons why we wanted to have this award is that environmental law does produce some exceptional individuals who do extraordinary work, and that one of the things that I discovered in Australia when the Law Council of Australia, the Environmental Planning Law Group, started acknowledging Australian environmental lawyers as well as young environmental lawyers, is that it provided a recognition in our professional sphere of the work that environmental lawyers are doing. The Philippines has exceptional environmental lawyers. Tony Oposa, one of the key great lawyers that we all know and love dearly, but other exceptional lawyers, some we will hear today, and one of the things that I think is very important is acknowledging that work and the work that people have done. So we hope that this Environmental Lawyer of the Year Award can become an annual event, and that we can spread it to focusing not only on practicing environmental lawyers, but also academics and hopefully even students, to provide a recognition for those studying environmental law, and as well as young environmental lawyers, to give them some recognition to the work that they have done. We've been very proud and privileged to have so many of great environmental lawyers present today and over the course of this workshop and conference. And so I, again, pay tribute to you all. Again, I would like to say thank you very much indeed to Iram for accepting the award, and to King Leng for accepting our award, and to put the tiger on the wall, just as a permanent reminder of the fragility of our ecosystems and the value and the important work that is done. And Iram, the explanation of the courts tackling gender violence, I hope will become an inspiration to us all. Perhaps it's also interesting that a number of those connections came through the work under the Asian Judicial Network on the Environment, and those personal connections that have been made that are very, very valuable and very important. So can I formally draw the proceedings to a close? Again, thank our presenters and thank our awardees. And then I will turn the meeting over now to our next session. We're a little bit early, so we may go to panels, but again, can I say, Iram, thank you very much indeed. If I can just again say also what an inspiration you both have been for me, both in terms of my work in terms of environmental law in Southeast Asia, but also the inspiration in general to the way that you do your work as a team player, working with a great team, encouraging and bringing together people. And as you say, it doesn't matter if you reach 2 people or 1 person in any room, that's a win. And from there, anything can happen. So, salam alaikum. Thank you very much indeed. And Professor Koh, again, you have been an inspiration and probably the first academic I knew who talked about the idea of ASEAN environmental law. I also notice in the chat that we've been joined by a number of your colleagues from the Asia-Pacific Centre for Environmental Law, and I'm sure that some of them will also be entitled to this award because APSEL, the Asia-Pacific Centre for Environmental Law, does extraordinary work, and the National University of Singapore, I think, has to be congratulated for all the work that is done, and also by the Centre for International Law. It really is a great tribute to the work, and as Ben said, for the proud Singaporeans. So thank you very much indeed. Thank you all for participating and staying on with us. And I now will turn it over for our next session, which will be on oceans. So thank you again very much indeed. Thank you, Stephanie.
Hello, everyone. So welcome to the second panel of the third day of the ASEAN Environmental Law Conference. So the topic of this panel is oceans and fisheries. So over the past decades, ocean issues have drawn increasing attention from the global community, and ocean issues were discussed more frequently. International hard laws and soft laws on ocean issues that were produced are aiming to elevate more and more concrete actions. And we see that international conferences were being initiated to bring global leaders to encourage commitments, such as the UN Ocean Conference and our Ocean Conference. However, ocean is still showing us some signs of failing health, climate change impacts, overexploitation of resources, destructive fishing, and ocean pollution all together compound stresses on ocean health. And also crimes continue to happen at sea where supervision becomes challenging. We are actually seeing some improvements in the global performance of meeting the SDG 14 targets, yet we are still far away from meeting the targets completely. And the average of Asian countries' SDG 14 performance are below the global average. And today we will be hearing about some of the past experiences and best practices in 3 Southeast Asia countries. And hopefully by the end of the panel, we can come up with some action points to encourage collaborative actions within the ASEAN countries. So we are joined by 3 speakers to address this very important topic. We have Gloria Estenzo Ramos, Vice President of Oceania Philippines. Hello, Gloria. And also we have Mas Ahmad Santosa, CEO of Indonesia Ocean Justice Initiative. And we have Dominic Thompson, the Deputy Director and Project Manager of Environmental Justice Foundation, Thailand. And for all speakers who have questions or comments during this panel, you can type your question comments in the chat box or the question and answer feature. And to start this discussion, I'd like to invite Ms. Gloria Estenzo Ramos, the Vice President of Oceania Philippines, to give the first presentation. So Gloria will be talking about using the law and science for sustainable fisheries management in the Philippines. And Gloria, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Stephanie. And I'll be sharing my screen. And good afternoon to everybody. And indeed, it's a big honor for me to be part of this very important environmental law conference. And congratulations to the Asian Research Institute for Environmental Law, and of course, Matthew Baird. And there's a special person also in the team,